So my son, he's 6. He came to me with a bit of a conundrum here a few months ago. An adult that he trusts lied to him, and he caught them in a lie. And at the time, he was a little, I guess, disillusioned. He didn't understand it. He's got a very Bob Ross attitude, and I love it. It's wholesome and it's wonderful. And he said, "Why did they lie to me? Lying's not nice." And I was like, "Yeah, buddy." He said, "Well, some people lie and don't even realize they're doing it." I mean, because let's be honest, we lie to ourselves all the time. We say we're not good enough or we're too good. We say that the choices that we make are wrong. We pretend that there's such things as mistakes. And then that compounds, and that gets bigger, and then you start lying about other things because it has to be the way you see it, because if it's not, then you're wrong. And the problem is there's not a lot of wrong and right in the world. There's perception based on trauma that doesn't need to be held onto so tightly. So as time went on, this adult in my child's life lied to them a couple more times and got caught. And so my son started calling them a liar. And then he started acting out. And then this adult came to me not knowing what to do. And I said, "You have to be careful with him because he's smarter than that." I think all children are. I think children are way smarter than we are. They're more curious, they're more adaptive. Their imaginations are way bigger. And they can hear a lot closer than adults do. And so this adult was just baffled. "Well, I didn't lie." I said, "Well, you kind of did, because you said these things in this way to make yourself seem better than you are for the thing that you did." And of course they got mad. And I tried to be as kindly as possible about it, but I mean, you know, you call a duck, right? I mean, it doesn't mean you call them a liar, but you go, "Hey, you're not telling the full truth here." Because there are truths. There are basic truths. We don't need to judge people. We don't need to blame people. We don't need to be mean and devious and malicious with people. We just don't. And children generally know that, unless they're berated at an early age by people that are just very disconnected from reality. So I said, "You have to be careful with him because he's going to catch you." And I said, "He's my guru. I've learned more from my child than I've learned from any adult ever. Things about myself, things about the dynamic of relationships and how people treat each other opposed to how we should treat each other." Now, I've had a long talk with my son about it, and I said, "Well, here's the thing. You can't go out and just call people liars, because it's going to create an energy. It's going to create an energy that blocks any receptivity between the two of you." And I didn't use the word receptivity with a 6-year-old. I said it's going to create bad feelings. And those bad feelings get in the way of potentially good feelings. It gets in the way of loving somebody. And so he said, "Well, Dad, what do I do if they're lying to me? It's not nice." I was like, Understand it for what it is. I said, you know it's a lie? And he said, yeah. I said, where do you feel it? Feel it in my tummy. And I was like, there you go, buddy. Exactly. You feel it in your tummy. Watch it. Witness it. You don't need to call the person out on it. You just go, okay, and go on about your life. And just realize that that person has the tendency to sometimes lie to you. And that you just have to be careful with what you hear from them. So, I'm talking to you as an adult. That's what we need to do. If you don't agree with somebody, you don't need to call them out. You just go, okay, and know that that's not your vibe. That's not where you're coming from. But you don't need to call them out, and you don't need to have a feeling about it either. You don't need to feel, angry or insulted or whatever, because chances are they don't even know they're lying to you. I mean, look around. See the people in your life. Look at yourself. How often do you know that you're lying to you? And then you can get even deeper into it and go, well, truth is just relative to the observer. I think they just did quantum physicists just did an experiment where they had, I think it was 3 or 4 different scientists using the same types of calculations, and they all came to different solutions about the same thing. And they were all correct from the angle they came from. So, truth is just relative to the observer. What you're seeing is not necessarily real, but it is to you. So we don't need to call people out on things. We just need to kind of create a space. And that's sometimes all you need, is just to create a space. Create a space with your feelings, your emotions. Create a space with the worldly viewpoint, with your job, your relationships. Just create a little bit of space. Let it be. Because people know intrinsically, deep down inside, what is true and what is false. And it takes a very special kind of person to lie to you on purpose, So, and you can usually get the feel for those type of people. They kind of stick out like a sore thumb. So, my advice to my son was just to let it be. Let it rest. If you came across a bear in the woods, you wouldn't go up to it. You'd turn around and walk away. Sometimes that's what you need to do in life. Just go, yeah, that's not true. People are deluded. Hell, I'm deluded about me most of the time. Other people are deluded about themselves most of the time. We're all kind of deluded. And it's okay. It's fine. The trick is to catch your own delusions. And the more you stop lying to yourself, the more truth that's allowed in. And it comes in out of the ether. I don't believe the mind is in the body. I believe the programming is, but I don't believe that the intelligence is in the body. I think the intelligence is everywhere. It's constant. It's in the trees and the rocks and the dirt. It's in the sunlight and the air. Almost like they're wanting to be discovered, And that's the beauty about science, is it allows us to take a step back and create space and come at things from a different angle, a different viewpoint, a different dynamic. So I went on to tell my son that you also need to make sure you don't lie to yourself. I said, do you think that this adult is a bad person? And he's like, well, no, I love them. I was like, okay, that's a great start. So if you love them, you sometimes don't need to tell them that what they're doing is wrong. But you can tell them how it makes you feel. We really need to go out of our way to stop hurting each other, because it doesn't do anything positive. Wars and strife, it just makes things worse. Now, you tell any one of the gurus that you've seen online or read in books how peaceful they are in the middle of the Gaza Strip, or in Ukraine where there's war happening. Ask them how peaceful they are when they're walking down a deserted street in the middle of the night in a bad neighborhood. Ask them about their peace then. So, we live in the land of duality, and you need to know when certain things are beneficial and when they're not. As always, much love.